The envelope felt heavy in Tasha Bennett's trembling hands. Inside, a check for $50,000. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse, the city lights blurred through her tears. Nathan Pierce stood across the marble kitchen island, his jaw set, his eyes cold and distant. "I don't want to be a father," he said again, each word like a knife. "This doesn't fit into my life right now. Take the money. Handle it. We can move past this. Handle it." Such casual words for ending a life that had barely begun. Tasha looked down at the envelope, then back at the man she thought she knew. 6 months ago he had been different. Warm. Attentive. He had pursued her relentlessly after they met at a charity gala where she had been working as a coordinator. He had called her beautiful, told her she was unlike anyone he had ever met. 3 months of late-night conversations, expensive dinners, weekend getaways to his lake house. She had fallen completely. And now this. "I'm 8 weeks pregnant, Nathan." Her voice cracked. "This is your child. It's a mistake." He turned away, pouring himself a glass of scotch. "We were careful. This wasn't supposed to happen. But it did happen." Tasha stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We created a life together. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" He took a long drink, his back still to her. "I built my company from nothing. I work 18-hour days. I have investors, board meetings, product launches. A child would destroy everything I've worked for. I'm 32 years old. I'm not ready for this responsibility." The words hit her like physical blows. Tasha had grown up in foster care, bouncing between homes, never belonging anywhere. She had promised herself that if she ever had a child, that baby would know nothing but love and security. And here was the father of her child, reducing their baby to an inconvenience, a problem to be solved with money. "I won't get rid of our baby," she whispered. Nathan finally turned around. His expression was hard, businesslike. "Then you're on your own. I'll deny paternity. My lawyers will tie you up in court for years if you try to come after me for support. Take the money now or take nothing. Those are your options." Tasha felt something break inside her chest. This was the man she had imagined a future with. The man who had held her hand during a thunderstorm because she mentioned she was afraid of lightning. The man who had remembered she loved sunflowers and filled her apartment with them on her birthday. That man was gone, replaced by this cold stranger. She set the envelope on the counter. "Keep your money," she said quietly. "I don't want anything from you." "Tasha, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable." She grabbed her purse, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold it. "I'm choosing my child over someone who sees us as a burden. Goodbye, Nathan." She walked to the elevator on unsteady legs, pressing the button repeatedly, desperate to escape before she completely fell apart. Behind her, she heard Nathan say something, but the words were lost in the rushing sound in her ears. The elevator doors opened and she stepped inside. As the doors closed, she caught one last glimpse of Nathan standing in his perfect penthouse, drink in hand, watching her leave. The elevator descended 43 floors. By the time the doors opened to the lobby, Tasha's face was wet with tears. She walked past the doorman, past the luxury cars in the circular drive, and into the October night. The air was cold, but she barely felt it. She had $97 in her checking account. She lived in a studio apartment in a building with broken elevators. She worked as an event coordinator for a small company, making just enough to cover rent and groceries. And now she was pregnant and completely alone. Tasha walked for 6 blocks before she finally let herself stop, leaning against a bus stop shelter. She pressed her hand to her still flat stomach. "It's just you and me now," she whispered to the tiny life inside her. "But I promise you, baby. I promise I will give you everything. You will never feel unwanted. You will never feel alone. I will love you enough for both of us." A bus pulled up and Tasha climbed aboard, swiping her transit card. She found a seat near the back and stared out the window as the city rolled past. Somewhere in one of those tall buildings, Nathan Pierce was probably already back to his spreadsheets and conference calls, having erased her from his carefully planned life. But she would not erase this baby. This child would be loved, cherished, wanted. Even if it meant doing it all alone. Have you ever made a choice that changed everything? What would you do in Tasha's situation? Subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below because this story is just beginning, and you won't believe what happens next. The morning sickness hit Tasha like a wave every single day for 12 weeks straight. She learned to keep crackers in her purse and to excuse herself from meetings with clients just in time to make it to the bathroom. Her supervisor, a kind woman named Beverly, noticed but said nothing, just quietly rearranged Tasha's schedule to give her more flexible hours. By the time Tasha reached her second trimester, her studio apartment felt smaller than ever. She spent her evenings applying for better-paying jobs, but most positions wanted someone who could work late hours and travel. She couldn't exactly explain that she was pregnant and would need maternity leave in 6 months. Nicole Rodriguez, her best friend since college, showed up at her apartment one Saturday morning with boxes of groceries and a determined expression. "You've been avoiding me for 3 weeks," Nicole announced, setting the bags on Tasha's tiny kitchen counter. "Talk." Tasha had been holding it together through sheer willpower, but Nicole's kindness broke through her defenses. The whole story came pouring out. Nathan's rejection. The money she had refused. Her terror about raising a child alone. Nicole listened without interrupting, then pulled Tasha into a fierce hug. "You're not alone," Nicole said firmly. "You have me. And that baby is going to be so loved." "I'm scared," Tasha admitted. "I have no family, Nicole. I grew up in the system. I don't know how to be a mother. What if I mess this up?" "You won't." Nicole pulled back, looking Tasha in the eyes. "You know what it felt like to be unwanted. You'll make sure your child never feels that way. That's already more than a lot of kids get." Over the next few months, Nicole became Tasha's lifeline. She came to doctor's appointments, helped Tasha research parenting books from the library, and spent weekends scouring thrift stores for baby clothes and supplies. Tasha picked up a second job doing freelance social media management in the evenings, working on her laptop after her regular job ended. The money was tight, but she was managing. At her 20-week ultrasound, Tasha lay on the examination table, her heart racing as the technician moved the wand over her growing belly. Nicole sat beside her, holding her hand. "Okay," the technician said, smiling. "I see 3 heartbeats." Tasha's world stopped. 3? "Congratulations. You're having triplets." The room seemed to tilt. Nicole squeezed her hand so hard it hurt. Tasha stared at the screen where 3 tiny shapes moved and shifted. 3 babies. 3 lives depending on her. "Are they healthy?" Tasha managed to ask. "Everything looks perfect. 3 strong heartbeats. Good development." Tasha barely heard the rest of the appointment. 3 babies. How was she going to manage 3 babies on her own? She could barely afford 1 crib, 1 car seat, 1 of everything. 3 meant triple everything. That night, Nicole sat with her on the worn couch in her apartment. "I can't do this," Tasha said, her voice hollow. "I thought I could handle 1 baby, but 3? Nicole, I don't even have enough space in this apartment." "Then we'll figure it out." Nicole's voice was steady. "You can do hard things, Tasha. You've been doing hard things your whole life. This is different." "It's not." Nicole turned to face her. "You survived foster care. You put yourself through college. You built a career from nothing. You're one of the strongest people I know. 3 babies just means 3 times the love." Tasha wanted to believe her. She placed both hands on her belly, feeling the slight swell there. 3 tiny hearts beating inside her. 3 little souls who would need her. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. I can do this." She enrolled in night classes at the community college, determined to finish her business degree before the babies arrived. Beverly, her supervisor, was understanding when Tasha explained the situation. "You're having triplets?" Beverly's eyes widened. "Tasha, you need to take care of yourself." "I am," Tasha assured her. "I'm just trying to set myself up for better opportunities. For them." Beverly studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "You're going to be an amazing mother." The words meant more than Beverly could know. As Tasha's belly grew, so did her determination. She attended every class, completed every assignment, and continued working both jobs. She researched childcare options and budgeting strategies. She signed up for a program that provided free cribs and baby supplies to single mothers. She joined online support groups for parents of multiples. Some nights, exhausted and overwhelmed, she let herself cry. But every morning she got up and kept going. By her 7th month, Tasha had saved $3,000. It wasn't much, but it was something. She had also found a slightly larger apartment, a 2-bedroom place in a building with an elevator. The rent was more, but she had calculated that she could manage it if she kept both jobs until the babies were born. Nicole helped her move, and together they painted the 2nd bedroom a soft yellow. They assembled 3 cribs side by side, draped with second-hand bedding that Nicole had washed and ironed until it looked brand new. "This is going to be their room," Tasha said, standing in the doorway, her hands resting on her massive belly. "This is where they'll take their first steps, where I'll read them bedtime stories, where they'll be safe and loved." "Yes," Nicole agreed, wrapping an arm around Tasha's shoulders. They're already so lucky to have you. Tasha didn't feel lucky. She felt terrified and exhausted and completely unprepared. But as the babies moved inside her, little kicks and rolls that reminded her they were real and coming soon, she felt something else too. Oh, maybe she couldn't give them a father. Maybe she couldn't give them a big house or expensive toys. But she could give them love. She could give them security. She could give them everything she had never had. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The contractions started 3 weeks early at 2 in the morning on a Tuesday. Tasha woke to a sharp pain across her abdomen and the realization that her water had broken. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called Nicole. "It's time," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Nicole arrived in 15 minutes, probably breaking every speed limit. She helped Tasha down to her car and drove to the hospital while Tasha breathed through contractions that were coming faster than the doctor had said they would. At the hospital, everything became a blur of fluorescent lights, medical staff, and monitors. Tasha was taken to a delivery room specially equipped for multiple births. A team of doctors and nurses surrounded her, preparing for the triplets. "You're doing great," the doctor assured her. "We're going to monitor each baby closely. You're at 37 weeks, which is actually excellent for triplets." The labor lasted 8 hours. Nicole never left her side, holding her hand, wiping her forehead, whispering encouragement when Tasha was certain she couldn't continue. "I can't," Tasha gasped between contractions. "It's too much." "You can," Nicole said firmly. "You're almost there. Your babies are almost here." At 10:17 a.m. the first baby arrived. A boy crying loudly, his tiny fists waving. "He's perfect," the doctor announced, holding him up for Tasha to see before passing him to the neonatal team. 7 minutes later the second baby came. Another boy, smaller than the first but with the same strong cry. "2 down, 1 to go," the nurse encouraged. The third baby, a girl, arrived 12 minutes after her brother. She was the smallest, but her cry was just as fierce. Tasha collapsed back against the pillows, exhausted beyond anything she had ever experienced. But then they brought the babies to her, cleaned and wrapped in hospital blankets, and placed all 3 in her arms. Tasha looked down at their tiny faces and felt her heart expand in a way she hadn't known was possible. 2 boys with dark hair and strong features. A girl with delicate features and long eyelashes. They were beautiful. They were perfect. They were hers. "Hello," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm your mama. I've been waiting to meet you." The first boy opened his eyes, dark and alert. The second boy yawned, showing pink gums. The little girl made a soft cooing sound. "What are their names?" Nicole asked softly, standing beside the bed. Tasha had chosen names months ago, writing them down in a journal late at night. "This is Jordan," she said, touching the first boy's tiny hand. "And this is Cameron." She stroked the second boy's cheek. "And this beautiful girl is Sophie." Jordan, Cameron, and Sophie. Her children. Her family. The nurses took the babies to the nursery for observation, and Tasha was moved to a recovery room. She should have slept, but she couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw their faces. Over the next 3 days in the hospital, Tasha learned to feed 3 babies, change 3 babies, and somehow survive on 2 hours of sleep. The nurses were patient, teaching her how to burp them, how to swaddle them, how to tell their different cries apart. Nicole brought clothes and supplies. Beverly sent flowers and a gift basket. The hospital's social worker connected Tasha with resources for single mothers and scheduled follow-up appointments. On the 4th day, Tasha was discharged. Nicole drove her home, where the 3 cribs waited. Getting all 3 babies upstairs in their car seats was an adventure, but they managed. That first night alone with her children, Tasha sat in the rocking chair in their room, holding Sophie while the boys slept in their cribs. The apartment was quiet except for the soft sounds of breathing and the occasional whimper. "I'm going to tell you something," Tasha whispered to Sophie. "Your brothers too, when they're old enough to understand. I'm going to tell you that you were wanted. That from the moment I knew you existed, I loved you. That I chose you over everything else." Sophie's tiny hand wrapped around Tasha's finger. "I don't have a lot to give you," Tasha continued, her voice breaking. "But I have love. So much love. And I promise you that will be enough. I will work hard. I will build a good life for us. You will never doubt that you are cherished." She sat there for a long time, rocking gently, looking at her daughter's sleeping face. In the cribs, Jordan stretched and Cameron made a small sound. Her 3 miracles. Her 3 reasons to keep fighting. Being a single mother to triplets wouldn't be easy. Tasha knew the road ahead was full of challenges. But as she sat in that quiet room holding her daughter, listening to her sons breathe, She felt something she hadn't felt in months. This was her family now. Small but complete. Broken in some ways but whole in the ways that mattered. And whatever came next, they would face it together. 4 years later, Tasha stood in the kitchen of her small but comfortable 3-bedroom townhouse, packing lunches for 3 very active 4-year-olds. The morning routine had become a well-practiced dance. Jordan needed his sandwich cut into triangles, Cameron only ate grapes if they were cut in half, and Sophie insisted on having her juice in the purple cup and only the purple cup. "Mama, Jordan took my toy car," Cameron called from the living room. "I had it first," Jordan protested. "Boys, use your words," Tasha called back, not even looking up from the lunch boxes. "Cameron, there's another car in the toy box. Jordan, share with your brother." She heard the sound of blocks being dumped out, then a moment later both boys were playing together again. Crisis averted. Sophie appeared in the kitchen doorway, already dressed in her favorite red dress with white flowers, her hair in 2 puffs that Tasha had spent 20 minutes perfecting that morning. "Mama, can I help?" Sophie asked. "Sure, baby. Can you put the napkins in the lunch boxes?" Sophie carefully placed 1 napkin in each box, her tongue sticking out slightly in concentration. She looked so much like Tasha, with the same warm brown skin and bright eyes. The boys favored their father's features more, but Tasha tried not to think about that. The past 4 years had been the hardest and most beautiful of Tasha's life. She had finished her business degree 2 years ago, taking online classes during nap times and after bedtime. 6 months after graduation, she had started her own small event planning company, working from home so she could be present for the triplets. Bennett Events specialized in small weddings and corporate gatherings. The income was modest but steady, and it was growing every month. More importantly, it allowed Tasha the flexibility to be at every preschool pickup, every doctor's appointment, every milestone. Nicole was still her closest friend and unofficial aunt to the triplets. She came over for dinner at least twice a week and babysat when Tasha had evening events to coordinate. "How's my favorite chaos crew?" Nicole asked, arriving just as Tasha was getting the kids ready to leave for preschool. "Aunt Nicole." All 3 children rushed to hug her. "I brought donuts for after school," Nicole announced, holding up a pink box. "But only if you're good at school today." "We're always good," Jordan said seriously. "Yeah, always," Cameron echoed. Sophie just grinned, showing the gap where she had lost her first tooth last month. Tasha drove the kids to their preschool, a bright building with a playground and teachers who genuinely cared. It wasn't the most expensive preschool in the city, but it was warm and safe, and the triplets loved it. "Bye, Mama," Sophie said, giving Tasha a big hug. "I love you to the moon." "I love you to the moon and back," Tasha replied, the ritual they repeated every morning. Jordan and Cameron gave her quick hugs before running off to play with their friends. Tasha watched them go, her heart full. They were confident, happy children. Curious and kind. Everything she had hoped they would be. Back at home, Tasha spent the morning responding to client emails and planning an upcoming wedding. A young couple getting married in a botanical garden, simple but elegant. She had already secured vendors and was finalizing the timeline. At noon, Nicole stopped by with sandwiches. "You're working too hard," Nicole observed, watching Tasha review contracts while eating. "I'm building something," Tasha countered. "The business is growing. I got 3 referrals this month alone." "I'm proud of you," Nicole said. "You've built an amazing life for those kids." Tasha looked around her home. It wasn't fancy. The furniture was a mix of second-hand finds and budget pieces. But it was clean and colorful, with the children's artwork on the walls and family photos on every surface. It was filled with love and laughter. "I try," Tasha said softly. "Some days I wonder if I'm doing enough. If they're missing out by not having a father. They have you. That's more than enough." Nicole reached across the table and squeezed Tasha's hand. "Have you ever thought about telling them about Nathan?" Tasha had thought about it many times. The kids hadn't asked yet, but she knew the questions would come eventually. How did she explain that their father had rejected them before they were even born? How did she explain that he had chosen his company over his children? "Not yet," Tasha said. "When they're older. When they can understand." That afternoon, Tasha picked up the kids from preschool. Sophie had painted a picture of their family, 4 stick figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. Jordan had made a clay dinosaur. Cameron proudly showed her a sticker on his shirt that said, "Great listener." At home they had snack time, then played in the small backyard. Tasha watched them run and laugh, their joy infectious. Jordan was the leader, always coming up with elaborate games. Cameron was the peacemaker, making sure everyone was included. Sophie was the artist, seeing beauty in everything. They were perfect. All three of them. That evening, after dinner and baths, Tasha read them a bedtime story. They crowded together in Sophie's bed, which had become their ritual. Tonight it was a story about a brave rabbit who went on an adventure. "Mama," Jordan said as Tasha tucked him into his own bed. "Are you happy?" The question surprised her. "Of course, baby. Why do you ask?" "Because you work really hard. I want you to be happy." Tasha's throat tightened. "I'm happy. You three make me the happiest mama in the world." "Good," Jordan said, satisfied. He closed his eyes and was asleep within minutes. Tasha checked on Cameron and Sophie, both already dreaming. She stood in the doorway of their room for a long moment, watching them sleep. 4 years ago, she had been terrified and alone, standing in Nathan Pierce's penthouse as he rejected their child. Now she had 3 incredible children, a growing business, and a life full of purpose. Yes, it was hard. Yes, she was tired most of the time. Yes, there were moments when she felt overwhelmed and uncertain. But she was also happy. She had built this life from nothing, brick by brick, choice by choice. And she would keep building, keep growing, keep giving her children the best life possible. Because they deserved nothing less. The Spring Festival at Riverside Park was an annual tradition that Tasha had been taking the triplets to since they were babies. This year, the weather was perfect. Bright sunshine, mild temperatures, and a gentle breeze that carried the scent of blooming flowers. Jordan, Cameron, and Sophie ran ahead toward the playground, their bright clothes standing out in the crowd. Jordan wore a blue shirt, Cameron wore green, and Sophie had insisted on her favorite red dress again. Tasha followed, carrying a backpack with snacks, water bottles, and the endless supplies required for an outing with 3 energetic 4-year-olds. Nicole had planned to come but got called into work at the last minute, so it was just Tasha and the kids today. She didn't mind. These moments with her children were precious. The playground was crowded with families. Children climbed on structures, swung on swings, and ran through the grass. Tasha found a bench with a good view and sat down, watching as the triplets immediately joined a group of kids playing tag. "Careful," she called out as Jordan climbed a little too high on the jungle gym. He waved at her and climbed down a few steps. The morning passed quickly. Tasha handed out snacks, pushed Sophie on the swings, and helped Cameron when he got stuck at the top of the slide. By midday, she suggested they take a break for lunch. They spread a blanket under a large oak tree. Tasha unpacked sandwiches and fruit while the kids chattered about everything they had done. Jordan wanted to go to the petting zoo next. Cameron wanted to get his face painted. Sophie wanted to do both and also get a balloon. "We can do all of that," Tasha promised, smiling at their excitement. After lunch, the kids wanted to play for a few more minutes before moving on to other activities. They grabbed their ball and started kicking it back and forth on the grass. Tasha watched from the blanket, enjoying the warmth of the sun and the sound of their laughter. Jordan kicked the ball too hard and it went rolling across the grass, past other families, heading toward a bench where a man sat alone. "I'll get it," Jordan called, running after the ball. Tasha stood up, keeping an eye on him. The man on the bench leaned down and picked up the ball as Jordan approached. He handed it to Jordan with what looked like a smile. Then the man looked up, and his eyes met Tasha's across the distance. Her entire world stopped. Nathan Pierce. He looked different. Older. His dark hair had threads of gray at the temples. He wore casual clothes instead of his usual expensive suits. But it was definitely him. Those same eyes that had looked at her with such coldness 4 years ago now widened in shock. Tasha's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. Her hands went cold. For a moment she couldn't breathe. Nathan stood up slowly, his gaze moving from Tasha to Jordan, who was running back to his siblings. Cameron and Sophie had come closer now, waiting for their brother. Tasha saw the exact moment Nathan realized. His face went pale. His mouth opened slightly. He stared at the 3 children, all of them so clearly siblings, all of them unmistakably his. "Mama, can we go to the petting zoo now?" Sophie called, oblivious to the tension. Tasha forced herself to move. "Yes, baby. Come here, all of you." She gathered the triplets close, her body instinctively protective. Nathan was still standing by the bench, frozen, staring at them. Tasha met his eyes one more time and she saw shock, confusion, and something that might have been regret. But she didn't care what he felt. She cared about protecting her children. "Let's go," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. She packed up their things quickly and led the kids toward the other side of the park. Sophie held her hand, skipping happily. Jordan and Cameron walked on either side, talking about the animals they wanted to see. Tasha didn't look back, but she could feel Nathan's eyes on them as they walked away. Her mind raced. What was he doing here? Did he live nearby now? Would he try to approach them? After 4 years of silence, what could he possibly want? At the petting zoo, the kids were delighted by the goats and rabbits. They fed them pellets from the vending machines and laughed when a goat tried to eat Sophie's dress. Tasha tried to focus on their joy, but her hands were shaking. She kept scanning the crowd, half expecting Nathan to appear. But he didn't. After the petting zoo, they got face paint. Jordan chose a tiger, Cameron chose a dragon, and Sophie chose a butterfly. Then they got balloons and ate cotton candy and played games. Tasha went through all the motions, smiling and laughing with her children, but inside she was spinning. By the time they left the park in the late afternoon, the triplets were exhausted and happy. They fell asleep in the car on the drive home, faces still painted, balloon strings tied around their wrists. Tasha carried them inside one by one, laying them on the couch so they could rest. Then she sat in her kitchen and let herself shake. Nathan had seen them. He knew about the triplets now. 4 years of building a life separate from him, and in one moment, everything had changed. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Tasha stared at it, her stomach churning. She let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a text came through. Tasha, this is Nathan. Please, I need to talk to you. I had no idea. Please. Tasha deleted the text without responding. She blocked the number. Then she sat at her kitchen table and tried to figure out what to do next. Her children slept peacefully in the next room, unaware that their world had just shifted. And Tasha knew with absolute certainty that nothing would ever be quite the same again. Nathan Pierce couldn't sleep. He had spent the entire night sitting in his apartment, staring at nothing, trying to process what he had seen at the park. 3 children. Triplets. All around 4 years old. All with features that were unmistakably his. He had spent 4 years believing that Tasha had taken his money and handled the situation. He had told himself she had moved on. He had tried to move on too, burying himself in work, convincing himself he had made the right choice. But there had been no handling it. There had been 3 babies, 3 children, a whole family that existed without him. Nathan thought about Tasha's face when she had seen him. The way her body had gone rigid, the protective way she had gathered the children close. She had looked at him like he was a threat. He was a threat. Or he had been, for years ago. The memory of that night in his penthouse made him feel sick now. He had been so cold, so certain that a child would ruin his carefully constructed life. He had looked at the woman he claimed to care about and had chosen his company, his ambitions, his comfort over her and their child. Except it hadn't been 1 child. It had been 3. And Tasha had raised them alone. Nathan had tried to call her 3 times last night, but his number was blocked. He had considered showing up at her old address, but she obviously didn't live there anymore. So he did what he was good at, research. It took him 2 hours to find Bennett Events, Tasha's business. Another hour to find her business address. He knew showing up at her workplace was pushy, maybe even inappropriate. But he had to talk to her. He had to know about his children. His children. The words felt strange, unfamiliar. For 4 years he had been childless by choice. Now he was the father of triplets. That afternoon, Nathan stood outside a small office building in a business district. According to the directory, Bennett Events was on the 2nd floor. His hands were sweating. He hadn't felt this nervous since his first investor pitch a decade ago. He climbed the stairs and found the office. The door had a simple sign, Bennett Events. Through the glass, he could see a small reception area with cheerful decorations. A woman sat at a desk, typing on a computer. Nathan knocked. The woman looked up, smiled politely and opened the door. Can I help you? I'm looking for Tasha Bennett. Is she available? The woman's smile faltered slightly. Do you have an appointment? No, but I really need to speak with her. It's personal. Before the receptionist could respond, another door opened and Tasha stepped out. She froze when she saw him. Nathan. Her voice was flat, controlled. She wore a professional navy dress and looked composed, but Nathan could see the tension in her shoulders. Tasha, please. I just want to talk. I'm with a client, she said. You need to leave. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. The receptionist looked between them, clearly uncomfortable. Tasha's jaw tightened. For a moment, Nathan thought she would refuse. Then she sighed. 5 minutes. Wait here. She disappeared into the back office, spoke to someone briefly, then returned. She gestured for Nathan to follow her into a small conference room. She closed the door and stood with her arms crossed, not inviting him to sit. How did you find me? She asked. Your business is online. Tasha, I had no idea. About the triplets. If I had known. You told me to get rid of it, Tasha interrupted, her voice sharp. You made your choice very clear. I was wrong. The words came out rushed. I was selfish and scared and I was completely wrong. Tasha, I never thought. I didn't know you were having triplets. I didn't know you were raising them alone. What did you think happened? Tasha's eyes flashed. Did you think I took your money and got rid of our child like you demanded? I told you I wouldn't. I walked away from your money and from you because I chose my baby. Babies? Nathan corrected quietly. 3 of them. 3 of them, Tasha agreed. Jordan, Cameron, and Sophie. They are smart and kind and wonderful. And they are mine. I raised them. I provided for them. I was there for every moment, every milestone, every hard night and beautiful morning. They are my children, Nathan. Not yours. The words hit him like a punch. I want to make this right. There is no making this right. You rejected your child before he was even born. You looked at me and told me I was a mistake. You threatened me with lawyers if I asked for help. You showed me exactly what kind of man you are. I'm different now. Nathan's voice cracked. The last 4 years have been. I lost everything, Tasha. My company almost collapsed. I had to rebuild from nothing. It taught me what actually matters. I've been in therapy. I've changed. Good for you, Tasha said coldly. But that doesn't change the past. It doesn't change what you did. I know. But those are my children too. Biologically, legally, they're mine too. Tasha's expression hardened. Are you threatening me? Because I will fight you with everything I have. No. Nathan held up his hands. No threats. I promise. I want to know them. I want to be part of their lives if you'll let me. I'm not asking to replace you or to disrupt what you've built. I'm just asking for a chance. Tasha stared at him for a long moment. Nathan could see her weighing his words, looking for deception. They don't know about you, she finally said. They've never asked because I've never given them a reason to ask. We're complete, just the 4 of us. I'm sure you are. But they deserve to know their father, don't they? Even if I was terrible 4 years ago, even if I have no right to ask, don't they deserve the choice? Tasha's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. You broke my heart, Nathan. You rejected our child. Do you have any idea what that did to me? I was alone and terrified, and the one person who should have supported me told me to get rid of our baby. I know. I'm so sorry, Tasha. I'm sorrier than I can ever express. She turned away, looking out the small window. I need to think about this. I need to consider what's best for Jordan, Cameron, and Sophie. Not what's best for you and not even what I want. Just what's best for them. That's all I'm asking, Nathan said. Take all the time you need. But please consider giving me a chance. One supervised meeting. Let me meet them. If it doesn't go well, I'll walk away. But if it does, if they're okay with it, maybe we can figure out how to move forward. Tasha turned back to him. If I agree to this, it's on my terms. 1 meeting. You don't tell them you're their father unless I say it's okay. You don't make promises you can't keep. And if at any point I feel like this is hurting them, it's over. Do you understand? Yes. Completely. Give me your number. I'll call you if I decide to do this. Nathan wrote his number on a piece of paper and handed it to her. Tasha took it without looking at him. Thank you, he said softly. For even considering it. I'm not doing this for you, Tasha said. I'm doing it because my children deserve every opportunity to be loved. Even if that love comes from someone who once didn't want them. The words stung, but Nathan nodded. I understand. He left the office, his heart pounding. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't even acceptance. But it was a chance. And that was more than he deserved. 5 days later, Tasha called Nathan. Her voice was professional, detached. Saturday. 1 p.m. The Children's Museum downtown. 1 hour. I'll be there the entire time. Thank you, Nathan breathed. Tasha, thank you. She hung up without responding. Saturday arrived too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Nathan stood outside the Children's Museum at 12:45, wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt, trying not to look like someone who owned a tech company. He wanted to seem approachable, normal. At exactly 1 p.m., Tasha arrived with the triplets. All 3 children wore bright colors. Jordan in a blue shirt, Cameron in green, and Sophie in her red dress. They held Tasha's hands, looking around with curious eyes. Nathan's chest tightened. His children. In person. Close enough to touch. Tasha approached with a neutral expression. Kids, this is Nathan. He's going to spend some time with us today. Hi, Nathan, Sophie said immediately, giving him a big smile. Do you like museums? I do, Nathan said, his voice catching. Especially this one. Jordan studied him with serious eyes. How do you know our mama? We used to work together a long time ago, Tasha said smoothly. Before you were born. It was a lie, or at least not the whole truth, but Nathan understood. The real story was too complicated for 4-year-olds. Are you coming in with us? Cameron asked. If that's okay with you, Nathan said. Sure, Cameron said easily. We're going to see the dinosaurs first. Inside, the museum was bright and interactive. The triplets immediately ran to the dinosaur exhibit, where life-size models stood among fake plants and rocks. Nathan followed, keeping a respectful distance while Tasha stayed close to the children. That one's a T-Rex, Jordan announced, pointing at the largest dinosaur. It was a predator. That means it ate meat. You know a lot about dinosaurs, Nathan said. Jordan knows everything about dinosaurs, Sophie said proudly. He's really smart. I can see that. They moved through the exhibit slowly. At the water table, Sophie played with boats and fountains, getting her dress wet despite Tasha's attempts to keep her dry. Cameron built elaborate structures with foam blocks in the construction zone. Jordan spent 20 minutes at the space exhibit, asking Nathan questions about planets and stars. Do you know what a black hole is? Jordan asked. I do. It's a place in space where gravity is so strong that nothing can escape, not even light. Exactly, Jordan said, impressed. Mama says I should be a scientist when I grow up. Your mama's right. You'd be a great scientist. After an hour, they took a break in the museum cafe. Nathan bought juice boxes and cookies for everyone. Sophie climbed into the chair next to him. You're nice, she announced, taking a bite of her cookie. Are you going to be our friend? Nathan's throat tightened. I'd really like that. Good. We need more friends. We have Aunt Nicole, but she's grown-up friends with Mama. We need kid friends. But I guess you're a grown-up too. That's okay though. Cameron, quieter than his siblings, finally spoke up. Do you have kids? The question hung in the air. Nathan glanced at Tasha, who was watching him carefully. No, Nathan said. But I wish I did. Kids are fun, Sophie said. We're fun, right, Mama? Very fun, Tasha agreed, her voice softer now. The hour turned into 2. Nathan didn't want to push, but the kids seemed happy and Tasha didn't end the visit. They explored more exhibits. Nathan helped Cameron build a bridge. He answered more of Jordan's endless questions. He pushed Sophie on a swing in the play area. Finally, as the afternoon stretched toward evening, Tasha said it was time to go. Can Nathan come back? Sophie asked immediately. Tasha looked at Nathan, then at her children. Would you like that? All of you? Jordan and Cameron nodded. He's cool, Jordan said. He knows about space and dinosaurs. And he's nice, Sophie added. And he bought us cookies. Then maybe we can see him again, Tasha said carefully. Nathan's heart soared. I'd really like that. Outside the museum they said their goodbyes. Sophie hugged Nathan without hesitation. Jordan and Cameron waved. Tasha watched it all with an expression Nathan couldn't quite read. Thank you, Nathan said quietly to Tasha, for giving me this chance. Don't make me regret it, Tasha replied. But her voice wasn't as cold as before. As they walked away, Nathan watched his children disappear into the crowd. His children. Real, alive, incredible. For the first time in 4 years, he felt something he hadn't felt since that night in his penthouse. Oh, maybe he didn't deserve forgiveness. Maybe he would never fully make up for what he had done. But if he could be part of their lives, if he could give them something good, maybe he could become the father they deserved. Was a chance. And he wasn't going to waste it. Over the next 6 weeks, Nathan became a regular part of the triplets' lives. Every Saturday he spent time with them. Sometimes at the park. Sometimes at the library. Once, they went to the zoo and Sophie insisted on seeing every single animal, taking 45 minutes just in the butterfly garden. Nathan was patient, attentive, and genuinely interested in everything the children said and did. He learned that Jordan's favorite color was blue and he wanted to be an astronaut. Cameron loved music and could remember every song he heard. Sophie was fearless, climbing everything and asking endless questions about how the world worked. Tasha remained cautious, always present during visits, watching Nathan carefully for any sign of the man who had rejected her 4 years ago. But that man seemed gone, replaced by someone gentler, more thoughtful. One Saturday Nathan arrived with gifts, 3 brand new backpacks, each in the child's favorite color. Inside each backpack were books carefully chosen for their interests. Space books for Jordan. Music books for Cameron. Art supplies and picture books for Sophie. You didn't have to do this, Tasha said. I wanted to, Nathan replied. They're such special kids, Tasha. Thank you for raising them so well. The words were simple, but they meant everything. For 4 years, no one had acknowledged how hard Tasha had worked, how much she had sacrificed. Hearing it now, from Nathan of all people, made her eyes sting with unexpected tears. At Cameron's preschool music recital, Nathan sat in the audience next to Tasha and Nicole. Cameron played a simple song on the xylophone, his face serious with concentration. When he finished, Nathan clapped louder than anyone. That's my boy, Nathan said, then caught himself. He glanced at Tasha, uncertain. Tasha's heart clenched. She had seen how Nathan looked at the children. The love was real, unmistakable. However much he had failed before, he genuinely cared now. After the recital, as they walked to their cars, Nathan asked, "Can I talk to you? Privately?" Tasha asked Nicole to take the kids to get ice cream. Once they were alone, she turned to Nathan. "What is it?" Nathan took a deep breath. "I want to help financially. I know you've been doing this alone and you've done an incredible job. But I want to contribute. Their preschool, their activities, savings for college. Whatever they need." Tasha's first instinct was to refuse. She had made it this far without his money. But she thought about the triplets' college funds, how small they were despite her best efforts. She thought about the preschool tuition she struggled to pay every month. She thought about the piano lessons Cameron wanted and the art classes Sophie had asked about. "This isn't charity," Nathan said quickly. "They're my children. I want to support them." "Okay," Tasha said quietly. Nathan looked surprised. "Okay. Yes. With gratitude. They deserve every opportunity, and I won't let my pride stand in the way of that." Relief flooded Nathan's face. "Thank you. I'll set up accounts for their education. And I'd like to cover their preschool tuition if you'll let me." They worked out the details over the next few days. Nathan was generous but not overwhelming. He set up college funds for each child. He paid for their preschool for the next year. When he learned that Cameron wanted piano lessons, he arranged for a teacher to come to Tasha's house once a week. The triplets didn't know where these opportunities were coming from. They just knew they were starting piano lessons and art classes, and their mama seemed less stressed about money. One evening, after Nathan had spent the afternoon at Tasha's house helping Jordan build a model solar system, he lingered after the kids went to bed. "Can I ask you something?" Nathan said as Tasha made tea in the kitchen. "Sure. When are we going to tell them that I'm their father?" Tasha had known this question was coming. She poured 2 cups of tea and sat down at the kitchen table. Nathan joined her. "I don't know," she admitted. "I see how much they care about you. How much you care about them. But I'm scared, Nathan. What if we tell them and something changes? What if you get busy with work and disappear? What if they feel rejected all over again?" "I won't disappear," Nathan said firmly. "I know I hurt you. I know I made terrible choices. But I'm committed to this. To them. Nothing is more important." Tasha studied his face, looking for doubt or uncertainty. She found none. "You've really changed," she said softly. "I had to. 4 years ago, I thought success meant money and company growth and working 18-hour days. Then everything fell apart and I realized I had nothing that actually mattered. No relationships, no real happiness. Just an empty apartment and a company I had sacrificed everything for." He looked down at his tea. "I went to therapy. I dealt with my fears about being a father, about being vulnerable, about letting people depend on me. I learned that my own dad was terrible and I was terrified of becoming him. But running away didn't solve anything. It just made me more like him." Tasha had never heard Nathan talk this openly. "What changed your mind?" "About all of it." "Hitting bottom. Almost losing the company forced me to rebuild everything, including myself. And then seeing you at the park, seeing those 3 incredible kids, realizing what I had thrown away. It was like waking up from a nightmare." "They are incredible," Tasha agreed. "Because of you. You gave them everything when I gave them nothing." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Tasha made a decision. "Next Saturday," she said. "We'll tell them together. But we do it gently and we let them process it however they need to." Nathan's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Tasha. Thank you for giving me this chance." "Don't make me regret it," Tasha said, but her voice was kind. As Nathan left that night, Tasha stood at her window watching him drive away. 4 years ago, she never could have imagined this moment. But here she was, preparing to tell her children about their father. A father who had been absent but was now present. Who had failed but was now trying. Life was strange and unexpected. But maybe, just maybe, it was also full of second chances. The following Saturday, Tasha prepared for the most important conversation of her life. She had spent the week thinking about how to explain everything to the triplets in a way they could understand. Nicole came over that morning to offer support. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Nicole asked, watching Tasha pace the living room. "No. But it's time." Nathan arrived at noon, looking as nervous as Tasha felt. They had agreed to tell the children together, presenting a united front. Tasha called the kids into the living room. Jordan, Cameron, and Sophie piled onto the couch, sensing something important was happening. "We need to talk to you about something," Tasha began, sitting in the chair across from them. Nathan sat beside her. "You know how some families have a mommy and a daddy? Like in books," Sophie said. "Right. Well, every child has a mommy and a daddy, even if they don't all live together. You have a daddy too." Jordan's eyes widened. "We do? Where is he?" Tasha took a deep breath. "He's right here. Nathan is your daddy." Silence filled the room. The triplets stared at Nathan, processing this information. Cameron spoke first. "Nathan is our dad?" "Yes," Nathan said, his voice thick with emotion. "I am." "Why didn't you tell us before?" Jordan asked, his face serious. Tasha chose her words carefully. "Because when I was pregnant with you, Nathan wasn't ready to be a daddy yet. He was scared. So I raised you by myself. But now he wants to be part of your life if you want that too. Did you not want us?" Sophie asked Nathan directly. The question hit Nathan like a physical blow. He got down on his knees in front of the couch at eye level with his children. "I made a huge mistake," Nathan said, his voice breaking. "When your mama told me about you, I was scared. I wasn't ready and I said things I shouldn't have. I hurt your mama and I missed the first 4 years of your lives. That's my fault, not yours. You are not mistakes. You are incredible, wonderful, amazing kids, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there from the beginning." Tears ran down Nathan's face. "I can't change the past. But I promise you right now that I want to be your dad. I want to be at your school events and birthday parties. I want to help with homework and play games. I want to be there for everything if you'll let me." Jordan looked at Tasha. "Is he telling the truth, Mama?" "Yes, baby. He's telling the truth." Cameron climbed off the couch and walked over to Nathan. He studied his father's face for a long moment, then hugged him. Nathan wrapped his arms around his son, sobbing. Sophie followed, then Jordan. Soon all 3 children were hugging Nathan, and Nathan was holding them like he would never let go. "It's okay, Daddy," Sophie said, patting Nathan's back. "People make mistakes. But you came back." "You came back," Nathan repeated, looking at Tasha over the children's heads. "Thank you for giving me that chance." The rest of the afternoon was full of questions. Jordan wanted to know why Nathan hadn't been in any of their pictures. Cameron asked if Nathan would come to his piano recital next month. Sophie wanted to know if they could call him Daddy now. "You can call me whatever feels right to you," Nathan said. By evening, the children had accepted this new reality with the resilience only children possess. Nathan stayed for dinner, helped with baths, and read bedtime stories. After the kids were asleep, Nathan and Tasha sat on the front porch. The evening air was cool and comfortable. "Thank you," Nathan said again. "For everything. For raising them so well. For giving me this chance. For being the most incredible mother." "I did what I had to do," Tasha said. "You did more than that. You gave them everything." Nathan turned to face her. "Tasha, I know I have no right to ask this. I know I hurt you terribly. But these past few weeks, being part of their lives, seeing you every day, I've realized something." "What?" "I'm still in love with you. I probably never stopped." Tasha's breath caught. "Nathan, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not even asking you to love me back. But I'm asking if you would consider giving us another chance. Not just as co-parents but as partners. As a family." "You rejected me," Tasha said, her voice breaking. "You told me to get rid of our baby. You looked at me like I was nothing." "I know. It was the worst thing I've ever done and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But people can change, Tasha. I've proven that with the kids. Let me prove it with you too." Tasha looked at the man beside her. For years ago he had broken her heart. But in the past few weeks she had seen genuine change. She had seen patience, kindness, and love. She had seen a man who showed up, who kept his promises, who put her children first. And if she was honest with herself, she had seen the man she had fallen in love with, before everything went wrong. "I need time," Tasha said finally. "I need to see that this is real. That you won't disappear when things get hard or complicated." "That's fair. I'll wait as long as you need." And we go slow. Really slow. The kids come first. Always. Always, Nathan agreed. Over the next few months, Nathan continued to be present and consistent. He came to every school event, every doctor's appointment, every important moment. He brought dinner when Tasha had late meetings. He helped with laundry and dishes without being asked. He was patient, respectful, and never pressured Tasha for more than she was ready to give. Slowly, carefully, Tasha's walls began to come down. She saw how Nathan made the kids laugh. How he remembered their favorite foods and their fears and their dreams. How he called every night when he had to work late just to say goodnight to them. How he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. One evening, 6 months after they had told the children the truth, Nathan arrived at Tasha's house with flowers and a nervous expression. "I have something to ask," he said. Tasha's heart raced. "Okay." Nathan called the kids into the living room. Jordan, Cameron, and Sophie gathered around, curious. "I want to ask your mama something very important," Nathan said. "But I need your permission first." "Permission for what?" Jordan asked. Nathan got down on one knee. From his pocket he pulled a small velvet box. Inside was a simple, beautiful ring. "I want to ask your mama to marry me. But only if you're okay with it. Because this isn't just about us. It's about all 5 of us becoming a real family. Does that mean you'd live here?" Cameron asked. "Eventually. Or we might get a bigger house where we all have our own rooms. Whatever your mama thinks is best." Sophie clapped her hands. "I think you should say yes, Mama." Jordan nodded seriously. "We like having a daddy. And you're happy when he's here." Cameron smiled. "Yeah. Say yes." Nathan looked up at Tasha, his eyes full of hope and love. "Tasha Bennett, you are the strongest, most amazing person I've ever known. You took my worst mistake and turned it into the best thing that's ever happened to me. You gave our children a beautiful life when I gave them nothing. Will you let me spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you? Will you marry me?" Tasha looked at her children, then at Nathan. 4 years ago her world had shattered. She had been alone, terrified, heartbroken. She had built a life from nothing, piece by piece, day by day. And now here was a chance at something new. Not perfect but real. Not without scars but full of hope. "Yes," Tasha said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I'll marry you." Nathan slipped the ring on her finger and pulled her into his arms. The triplets cheered and rushed to hug them both. And in that moment, surrounded by love and laughter, Tasha felt something she hadn't felt in a very long time. Complete. What would you do if given a second chance at love? Have you ever forgiven someone who hurt you deeply? Subscribe and share your story in the comments. Your voice matters, and your experience could inspire someone else who's struggling with forgiveness. The wedding took place 6 months later in the spring, surrounded by flowers and sunshine. It was a small ceremony in the botanical garden, with Nicole as maid of honor and the triplets as the entire wedding party. Sophie wore a beautiful pink flower girl dress and took her job very seriously, carefully dropping rose petals along the aisle. Jordan and Cameron walked on either side of Nathan, proud to stand with their father. When Tasha walked down the aisle, Nathan couldn't stop the tears. She was beautiful in a simple ivory dress, carrying sunflowers just like the ones he had given her years ago. The ceremony was short and heartfelt. The officiant spoke about second chances, about families built through choice and love, about the power of forgiveness and growth. When it was time for the vows, Nathan went first. "Tasha, for years ago I made the worst mistake of my life. I let fear control me and I hurt the person I cared about most. But you took that pain and turned it into something beautiful. You raised 3 incredible children who are kind, smart, and loving because of you. Today I'm not just marrying you. I'm promising to be the partner you deserve, the father our children need, and the man you can always depend on. I promise to show up, to be present, to choose this family every single day for the rest of my life." Tasha's vows were equally emotional. "Nathan, you broke my heart. But you also gave me the greatest gifts of my life. Our children have taught me about strength, resilience, and unconditional love. And you've taught me that people can change, that second chances are real, and that hope is always worth holding on to. Promise to build this life with you, to trust the man you've become, and to create a family where love always comes first." When the officiant pronounced them married, the triplets cheered louder than anyone. Nathan kissed his bride while his children rushed to hug them both. The reception was joyful and relaxed. They ate good food, danced to music that Cameron had helped choose, and laughed until their faces hurt. Sophie caught the bouquet, even though she was the only one trying to catch it. Jordan gave a very serious toast about how families can look different ways but love is what makes them real. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the garden, Nathan and Tasha stood together watching their children play with the other guests. "Are you happy?" Nathan asked, wrapping his arms around his wife. "I am," Tasha said, leaning back against him. "It's strange. 4 years ago I couldn't have imagined this. But yes, I'm happy. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you stay that way." They had decided to buy a new house together, a 4-bedroom place with a big backyard where the triplets could play. It wasn't a mansion, but it was perfect for their family. 2 weeks after the wedding they moved in. The kids each got their own room for the first time in their lives. Jordan's room had glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Cameron's had a keyboard and music posters. Sophie's was filled with art supplies and bright colors. The master bedroom was at the end of the hall, with windows overlooking the backyard. That first night in their new home after the kids were asleep, Nathan and Tasha sat on their bed, exhausted but content. "This is real, right?" Tasha said. "We're really doing this? We're really doing this." Nathan took her hand. "You, me, and 3 amazing kids. A family." "A family," Tasha repeated, testing the words. They felt good. They felt right. The next morning was Saturday, and they had a family tradition to start. Nathan made pancakes while Tasha helped the kids get ready. Then they all piled into the car and drove to the beach. The day was perfect. Clear sky, warm sun, gentle waves. The triplets ran along the shore, collecting shells and chasing seagulls. Nathan and Tasha walked behind them, hand in hand, watching their children play. "Mama, Daddy, look what I found," Sophie called, running over with a perfect spiral shell. "It's beautiful, baby," Tasha said. "Can we keep it?" Sophie asked. "Of course. We'll put it on the shelf in your new room." Jordan and Cameron came running up with their own treasures. They spent an hour just walking, collecting shells, and enjoying being together. Later they spread out a blanket and had a picnic lunch. The kids talked over each other, telling stories and making plans for their summer vacation. Nathan suggested they take a trip to the mountains. Tasha mentioned the art camp Sophie wanted to attend. Jordan asked if they could visit a space museum. "We can do all of it," Nathan said. "We have time. We have everything we need." As the afternoon wore on, Sophie fell asleep on the blanket, worn out from playing. Cameron and Jordan built elaborate sandcastles. Nathan pulled Tasha close. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For giving me a second chance. For letting me be part of this. For forgiving me." Tasha looked at their children, then at her husband. "We all deserve second chances. You proved you were worth it." "I love you," Nathan said. "I love you too." They sat there on the beach as the sun began to lower in the sky, painting everything in shades of orange and pink. Their children played nearby, safe and loved. Their family, once broken, was now whole. Tasha thought about that night 4 years ago in Nathan's penthouse. The pain, the fear, the loneliness. She thought about the long nights with newborn triplets, the struggle to make ends meet, the exhaustion and doubt. And she thought about now. This moment. This family. This life they had built together from broken pieces. It wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, still challenges to face. But there was also love. Deep, real, committed love. Jordan came running over, dripping wet from the waves. "Daddy, come play with us." "Yeah, come on," Cameron called. Nathan looked at Tasha for permission. She smiled and nodded. He jumped up and chased the boys into the water, all 3 of them laughing. Sophie woke up and climbed into Tasha's lap. "Are we a real family now, Mama?" "Yes, baby. We're a real family." "Good. I like being a family." "Me too, sweetheart." "Me too." As the sun set over the ocean, the 5 of them stood together at the water's edge. Tasha held Sophie, Nathan held Cameron, and Jordan stood between them. They watched the waves roll in, felt the sand beneath their feet, and breathed in the salty air. This was home. Not a place but a feeling. Not perfect but theirs. And as they walked back to the car, tired and happy and covered in sand, Tasha knew something with absolute certainty. Love really could heal anything. Hope really did matter. And kindness, second chances, and forgiveness could transform even the deepest pain into something beautiful. Their story had started with rejection and heartbreak. But it ended with joy, unity, and a love that would last forever. And that was the best ending of all.